Hey everyone, it's Dabacab here. Our buddy Jeff Kaplan has released a video where he explains the changes that they're going to make to Season 2 of Overwatch, which was a welcome bit of news, to be honest, because I think that the first season of Overwatch was a little bit crappy, in my opinion. It just wasn't designed super well. The coin flip was universally reviled. So this is overall some good news, and we're just going to go through the points and talk about them. So first off, they got rid of the 1 to 100 ranking system and swapped it with a 1 to 5,000 ranking system, which is good because it gets rid of decimals, which are kind of hard to track, and it was kind of sucky to be like, you know, rank 55, then you get a level and you go up like a bar or two and you're not really sure how close you are to the next rank. So this change to 1 to 5,000 will make it a little bit clearer what you get, what you lose when you transition from matches. I think it's a little bit strange they chose 1 to 5,000 instead of 1 to 1,000. I think that would have been a little bit easier. Also, I think it's also a little bit strange that they are insisting on creating a intermediary for the skill ranking. It's a little bit strange that they would say that you get a number from 1 to 5,000, where it might honestly be better if they just make it the percentage, because these numbers basically tell you, allow you to compare yourself to others to say how good you are at this game. But instead of having the intermediary, they could just say, you know, you are in the top 32.6% of all players, or you're in the top 5.3% of all players. So they're probably not going to do that. Systems like these tend to be very fond of an intermediary point. But, you know, this is still an upgrade, so I can't complain too much. So win or lose, you're going to be going up or down whole numbers, make it a little bit easier to track, you know, your progress. So these points are going to be divided into 7 tiers, which are likely going to be bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and then master and grandmaster. Kaplan said that gold will be between 2,000 and 2,499. So that'll be a little bit on the lower end. I'm wondering if that will mean that platinum is average. Kind of strange, in my opinion, that they'll have the average score be either gold or platinum. That seems like, I don't know. This kind of boils down to phrasing, right? It's like, if you call the average, okay, so the majority of players are going to be average. If you call average gold, then players are going to feel good about themselves. If you call average, players are going to feel not so great about themselves. If you call average, you know, shit, crappy tier, then people are going to be really frustrated about it, even though the numbers are the same. So I think that this was a move to try and create a more positive and less punishing environment by, you know, making it so that right out of the gate, most players are going to be gold and platinum, which sounds nice. So once you hit a tier, with the exception of Master and Grandmaster, the 2 highest tiers, once you hit a tier, you can't drop below it, which is awesome for farming rewards, because Kaplan said that once you hit a tier, that will be like the max tier for determining what rewards you get at the end of the season. So I think they're trying to get rid of a lot of the negativity that comes with losing points. I mean, it just feels shitty to derank. It feels like you lost all that hard work you put into it. So this change will probably make that sting a little bit less. Luckily, they are also going to get rid of sudden death, which was poorly conceived, and they're switching it back to the time bank system. Basically, the way that works is, if you're on like Gibraltar and you beat the map in 5 minutes, you've got, let's say, 3 minutes left over, and the other team beats the map in 6 minutes and they got 2 minutes left over. Then at the end of it, instead of going to sudden death, each team gets the 3 minutes and then the 2 minutes to go as far as they can, and the farther you go, the team that goes farther wins. So it's a more objective measurement of who's better rather than the asymmetrical system that they had before. Downside is, I think that it makes the maps a little bit longer. So, you know, I guess it's not really bad. It's sort of like, some people might like it, some people might not like it. I think it's a little bit bad because I felt like competitive matches kind of dragged on a little bit as they were. So we'll see how that goes. Anything other than the coin toss is a better choice overall. The other change is that they're going to permit ties. If it just so happens that 2 teams cannot capture the first payload in King's Row, then that's just a tie. You're going to get half as many points as a win, because otherwise it just, like, that would feel just as bad as losing, basically, to spend 20 minutes, 25 minutes, like, trying to win a fight and then just tying and then getting nothing. So the tie is a good compromise. At least you feel like you got some sort of compromise out of it. But even then, ties will be super, super rare. Kaplan said that they're aiming for a extremely low, I think 10% or lower tie rate. While this is a decent compromise, they're still not ideal. They're not exactly fun or rewarding. And it's better to have a winner or a loser. This is a game after all. They are basically multiplying all of the purple currency by 10. So instead of having 10 purple money, you will have 100 purple money. And the cost of gold weapons has been scaled up to reflect this. Hopefully they'll come up with some new rewards for Season 2, because I thought the gold weapons looked a little bit crappy, to be honest. They have also added a skill gap, which means that you cannot play with someone if their level is 500 points above or below you. So basically you have to be within 10% of every one of your teammates. There was a big problem with Season 1 wherein very high level people would group up with an extremely low level buddy who was only low level in name and not actually in skill. So you'd have like rank 70, 70, 70, 70, and then like 25. And what that would mean is that if they lose, then they don't lose a lot of points because the 25 ranked person makes them an underdog. But if they win, they get a boatload of points. So people were kind of scamming the system in order to get the top 500 rank. And this system will theoretically help to prevent that. At the very least, it will prevent people from scamming the system and tricking the computer into thinking that, you know, someone's extremely low skill when in fact they're extremely high skill. So, you know, we'll see how this works out. I am a little bit concerned about that because I play with a bunch of my buddies and there's some noticeable skill gaps between my level of skill and their levels of skill. I mean, there are some of my friends who are about as good as me, but you know, a lot of them don't play Overwatch a lot. Like they're like level 40 or 50, whereas I got my first star. So they're just going to be behind me, and I'm a little bit concerned that 10% might be a little bit too unforgiving. I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, up that to maybe 15% difference or 20% difference. I guess it depends entirely on how much people complain on the forums. Last but not least, the people in the highest tier will lose rank gradually every day that they don't play after a certain amount of time. That's to make it so that like someone doesn't, you know, work and get to the high rank and then just quit and then just high rank for the rest of the season. So this is more of an investment. Like if you want to be the best throughout the whole season, you got to constantly come back and back. You know, just get lucky, like get a lucky winning streak, win 4 games in a row at the highest tier, and then you just quit. You're like, oh, I got the highest rating. I'm rank, you know, 4998, and no one can beat me, and I'm just not going to move until someone hits 4999, and then maybe I'll try. But for now, I'm just going to sit back. So. For the most part, this isn't really going to be a big deal for the majority of players. This will affect a very small percentage of players. My guess is less than 10% of the Overwatch population. But for the most part, you know, people aren't going to have to worry about that too much. So overall, I'm in favor of these changes. I think that they did a couple things well. First of all, they added granularity to the scale, which makes it easier to tell where you are and how much progress you've made, which is good. It sort of increases information. I kind of wish that they would just go one step further and cut out the middleman and go straight to percentages. So you go from like, you're in the top 38.6 percentile of players and you win a game, and you're in the top 38 point, oh, I forgot what I said. Let's just say 38.6, and then you go up to 38.4% of players. So yeah, sure, winning and going up 0.02 points is not super awesome, but I mean that's what's actually happening. I mean, you can dress it up and put a point system on as much as you want, but that's really what's happening. You're going from a lower percentile bracket to a higher percentile bracket. I like that they made the system a little bit more positive, as in like a positive experience. They sort of changed the terminology. They changed the way that players are going to feel about it. So instead of going from rank 51 to 52 to 53 to 54, it's more of like a like a cinematic rise where it's like you go from bronze to silver, and that transition will be meaningful. And then once you get to silver, you can just stop worrying about it. You can just go into the slow grind to gold, and that won't happen for, you know, many matches, maybe a couple days. So you can just stop sweating about it. And then once you do get to gold, you're gold permanently, so you don't have to worry about that anymore. And before, you know, players were like constantly like, oh, I'm 51, I gotta get 52. Oh, no, I'm 52, I gotta get 53. Oh, no, I'm 53, I gotta get 54. And that constant, it just felt kind of grindy a little bit, and going down a rank felt devastating because you felt like you were like a worse level player. But if you're like silver level 1500 and then you get silver level 1600 and you lose that and go back to silver level 1500, you'll still feel like, oh, it's not a big deal, I'm still silver, right? It's not going to feel as significant going down points within silver because you can still say, oh, you know, I'm still in the same tier as everyone else here. The changes to sudden death are awesome. I can sort of understand why they don't want to do... The changes to sudden death are awesome. There's really not much to say about that. It's just a great change. I kind of don't understand why they didn't do that in the first place. The coin flip was asymmetrical. And anything that's asymmetrical in a competitive game is just a dumb idea. It almost never works out. So this is going to be a much better change. It's going to make things fairer and more objective, which is always a move in the right direction. So I'm interested to see what Season 2 brings to the table. I'm really in favor of all these changes. Just my one only concern is I think that the skill gap differences are going to be a little bit too tight. We'll have to see how much of a difference these skill levels make between distinguishing good players versus not so good players, because this might mean that I'm not able to play with my buddies in ranked, which would be a shame. So my prediction, I'm calling it now, is that they will up the skill percentage to, let's say, 15 or 20%, maybe 25, but I'm guessing probably close to like 15 or 20. We'll see. Well, it'll, you know, it might shake out differently, but that's just my guess. Blizzard is super into making their games a positive social experience with their friends. It's almost like everything is geared towards positivity rather than negativity, friendliness rather than toxicity, and like accessibility with your friends. So I think that this might be swinging the pendulum a little bit too far in the other direction. So my guess is they're going to scale it back and give people a little bit more leeway in playing with their friends, because Overwatch is a team-based game. It's really a team-based game, unlike any other game that they've got, with the possible exception of Diablo. Diablo's a great, like, social, hey, let's all get on tonight and just go fucking kill some monsters. But Diablo doesn't take a lot of coordination the way Overwatch does. Overwatch kind of demands cooperation. So I'm thinking that because players sort of rely on, you know, having a buddy who you trust, who you know how he plays, and who you can, like, yell at without him getting upset at you, that if they are too strict with this and they don't let players play the way they want to, then, you know, people are going to complain on the forums. And whenever people complain on the forums enough, they make changes. So my guess is that's what's going to happen. So let me know what you think in the comments. Are you looking forward to these changes? Do you agree or disagree with my assessment? Alright, thanks for watching. Dabacab out.